Hi, I'm Susan Papanicholas from How Does Your Garden Grow in Seattle, Washington. It's the middle of November and I'm here today in my own garden with my dog Charlie, who's wandering around, to show you this fantastic Camellia Sasanqua. I can't tell you the number of times I end up recommending this plant. I've actually gotten a little bit embarrassed because so frequently a client will present me with a situation or a problem to solve, and my recommendation is we could try a Camellia Sasanqua. There's so many reasons why it comes up so frequently. First of all, here we are in the middle of November, and look at all these blossoms. This started blooming in October, and it is fully in flower right now, looking fantastic, and this will bloom all the way into the middle of February. So during that dreary time of year where it can be dark here in the Pacific Northwest, where it can be a little gloomy, where you don't have very many flowers blooming, you've got Camellia Sasanqua covered in blossoms. In addition to that, it's evergreen, so it's got these glossy leaves on it. So really, it's hard to find a spot where you wouldn't want a Camellia Sasanqua, if you ask me. Another reason I really like this plant is because it's incredibly adaptable. It can grow in a lot of different growing conditions, from shade to part shade to even full sun, if it's well irrigated. And you can train it to grow in a lot of different shapes. This plant can grow as sort of a free-forming, multi-stem small tree and look spectacular. It can grow as a shrub that's got foliage all the way down to the ground and be sort of more dense and mounded shape. You can prune it into a hedge, or you can even espalier it against a wall or a fence where you have it sort of spread out, almost like a vine. We are currently standing in my side yard, which is a very utilitarian space, and it's a very narrow space. It's where my garbage and recycling cans are. It's where I stage a lot of my tools and supplies for gardening and for coming and going to my clients' houses. And it's pretty narrow and shady right here. I put this hedge in so that my next door neighbor doesn't have to look at my garbage cans and staging area. And also so as I come and go from my front door, I see this sticking up above the staging area. It's worked really well for me. I have pruned it into sort of a very loose hedge. I don't prune it often. I prune it about once a year. In February, I'll come in and take some of these longer branches and prune them off rather than cutting them back, so that I'm creating kind of a loose and informal shape for this hedge. And then during the growing season, I let these branches get longer and grow out and get a little bit more of a loose shape, and then they bloom for me in the fall and winter. But if you wanted a more sheared hedge look, then you could come in and create a denser, wider hedge by sort of snipping all these ends off at the edge of where you wanted the hedge to be. If you want to grow them as an espalier, that takes a lot of training. You need to do a lot of pruning to shape it so that the branches grow only in one direction. When they're not pruned, Camellia Sasanquas get to be about 8 to 10 feet tall to 8 to 10 feet wide. You can limb them up, as I was describing, to get more of a tree shape, or you can let the foliage stay down to the ground to have it be more of like a shrub that has foliage down to the ground, where it can be great to use to screen a space or fill in a part of the garden where you want evergreen foliage, kind of creating a more solid wall. Super adaptable plant. I love growing this in my clients' gardens. It comes in a lot of different colors. Yuletide is a red. This one is Sasanqua, which is a white. There's also light pinks, bright pinks, whites with pink edges, double flowers, single flowers. There are more varieties of this coming out by the day because it's such a popular plant and so versatile to use. Also, another bonus plant about this plant is that the hummingbirds love it. So I find that all winter long I've got Anna's hummingbirds flitting around over here and drinking from these flowers. Really fantastic plant to use in a lot of different situations in the garden. I couldn't be without it, and it brings me lots of joy.